The government's beginning a public consultation on how to protect children on social media, on gaming platforms. Thanks for joining us this morning, Danny.
Oh, it's great to be here to talk about this.
How do you feel about this public consultation then? Why can't the government just get on with it and take some action?
Well, Trot, this can't come soon enough. In Winchester, I've had over 1,000 people email me about this, mostly parents, absolutely worried, sick about their children's mental health. And they all know that social media is a significant factor in this. And we know that children's mental health is pretty much in crisis at the moment. And we also know that they're being exposed to content and material that is not appropriate for their age. Some of it can be very distressing, and things like beheading videos or violent pornography. And we also know that these algorithms are horrendously addictive, and that's we've all spent time doom scrolling, even as adults. But these are algorithms that are designed by some of the best engineers in the world. It's as addictive as online gambling, and it is absolutely taking all our children's attention. It's ruining their attention spans, and it's causing a lot of mental health issues. And the third one that you mentioned in the introduction as well is AI chatbots. A lot of people, a lot of children in particular, don't realize that these AI chatbots, which can present as a kind of like a cartoon character or a friend, and they're going to them for mental health advice, they're talking to them like they're a friend, and they don't realize that these are just computer programs that don't care about them. And that is a huge problem, a massive problem, because some of the advice they're giving is actually quite damaging.
Now, this isn't quite my world yet, as my children are still quite little, Danny. So, feel free, and, if you're listening to this, feel free to throw the radio out of the window when I say it. But isn't it up to parents to monitor the amount of time spent on the phone, and also to monitor the kind of content that's being watched, and also to ensure that the conversations are being had around mental health and well-being, to be offering those alternatives? Isn't that up to parents?
Well, the difficulty is, if you've got a child where you want to ensure your kid isn't accessing social media, but the rest of the school is on it, and that's how they've got some of their social life, some of their connections, you don't want to have your kid as the only one who's not being able to engage in this. And it's a little bit like smoking, actually. If we for decades we knew how damaging smoking was, and it took a long time for the government to take action. But we now know it's so dangerous we don't allow children to smoke. And it is easier for parents to say you're not having access to these dangerous platforms because it is illegal. Because, I go to schools all the time as well. I speak to parents all the time. Schools want this, parents want this, and even a huge number of the children I speak to want some sort of controls on social media, because it's really damaging. It's really disruptive in the classroom. And, everything from, it's not just the addictive algorithms, but it's also the sort of body image stuff, the, children of eating disorders, seeing these AI altered images that are completely unattainable and being normalized. It is so damaging to children's mental health and their development that we need to take action to protect them.
Professor Sonia Livingston works in media and communication and focuses on children's rights in the digital age. She thinks officials should be policing the platforms rather than the kids. Let's listen to what she has to say.
Having done lots of research on both the opportunities and the risks that young people find on social media, I think the priority is really making the Online Safety Act work. And together with the Digital Services Act, which is also, happening in parallel, what everyone wants to see is better safety from big tech companies. And then children could express themselves and connect online as they want to.
Has she got a point, Danny?
Well, we're in complete agreement there. It's the social media companies that need to be regulated. It's an absolute failure of regulation. The onus shouldn't be on the children, it should be on the parents. At the moment, these are only social media companies' self-imposed rules, but most of them say you have to be 13. But even they don't insist on that. We've got children way under 13 accessing these social media. So it's the social media companies and the big tech companies that should be held to account for this, and they should be regulated, because we've got a bunch of very wealthy companies based in California which are now controlling the experience of childhood in the UK, and that is completely and utterly wrong. So all our proposals don't put the onus on the children themselves. It's not on the parents themselves. It's to make sure that these companies, and actually, if you look at the Lib Dem proposals, they've got a lot of support from about 40 different children's and mental health charities, because what we're trying to do is bring in some sort of age-appropriate rating, a bit like you see with films. So you could say that, this platform's suitable if you're over 18, this one's okay if you're over 16. And current social media platforms, with their addictive algorithms and inappropriate content, would essentially mean that no one over under 16 should better access them. But there's nothing to stop really useful social media, a bit like it used to be, with appropriate content, without addictive algorithms, without the ability for strangers to contact children, to be brought out, which actually helps children connect, helps with their education. At the moment, that's not the space in the online world.
Yeah, I have this ongoing Roblox conversation with my now 10-year-old, and I liken it to, I wouldn't open a door to a house, and just because you knew 2 people in that house and you didn't know the other 28 people in the house, send you in.
Oh, you're spot on. That's a really good way of explaining it.
And equally, I've had this conversation about, why do kids need a phone? Because they don't need a car sitting on the drive on their 13th birthday if they can't drive it till they're 17. No. So how far could this go, Danny?
Well, I think what we have to ensure as well is that we don't end up with a cliff edge where children need to be genuinely educated about the online world, the online harms, social media, age-appropriate social media, because you don't want them turning 16 and then suddenly having access to all this inappropriate content, having not been prepared for it, because that would also be a problem for their mental health. We also need to look at how we tax social media companies, because they're making a huge amount of money out of our children's attention. They're making a lot of money from that. They're causing a lot of mental health problems, and we've got really underfunded mental health services. People really struggle to access mental health services, and these companies are causing these problems, not even paying any tax, and we need the money to provide mental health services. So there's so much that needs to be done to hold these big, huge corporations to account. And I completely agree with that, Professor. It's these corporations that need to be regulated, they need to be taxed, and these children need to be protected. And like I keep saying, that schools want it, parents want it, children want it. This needs to happen.
Danny, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today with your thoughts on that. Danny Chambers, Liberal Democrat MP for Winchester.